Hello everyone and welcome to class today. Today I'll be going over a horizontal blunt haircut and I will be going over what you need to get started and to finish with your doll head. Today we'll be cutting Miss Catherine. Okay, so now I'm going to be going over what the proper technique would be for cutting. So what you're looking to do is have an ergonomic straight wrist when you're cutting. This way you don't blow out your wrists or get carpal tunnel. And then when you cut your hair, you're looking for opening and closing your shear by just moving your thumb only. So this blade on the bottom does not move. That's how you get your straight lines, your nice, crisp, clear, precision cuts. By just only moving your thumb. Your setup should contain your sanitary maintenance area, also known as your SMA, 4 clips, your combs, and your shears. You have your clean towels stored in a closed container along with your drape also stored in its own clean container. Here's my complete setup with my soiled container, my soiled linens bag, my trash bag, my hand sanitizer, my blow dryer, and my round brushes. All right, let's get started. First, I'm going to make sure I wash my hands. This is hand sanitizer. So now that my hands have been nice and sanitized, I can go ahead and drape my client. I'm going to be using a towel that's in a clean container. All these towels are freshly laundered. And my drape, notice how everything is labeled. It's important to have all your tools and your station labeled correctly in order to not get any fines from State Board. I am also going to show you what a proper setup for the haircut would look like. Here is your sanitary maintenance area, also known as your SMA. It includes 4 clips, your combs, and your shears. Also, your setup should contain your soiled container, your soiled linens bag, your H2O spray, and your hand sanitizer and trash bag. Let's not forget that you have your towels in a sealed, clean container and your drape in a sealed, clean bag. Here's my complete setup with my round brushes and my hair dryer. So now that we've washed our hands, we can go ahead and start draping our client. Once you're done with your towels, make sure you put the lid back on your container. Hair gets everywhere. Fastening on my drape here. All right. Now it's important to start setting our sections here. All right, let's see if we're in the middle here. You want to make sure your client's hair has been conditioned, and it's nice and it's smooth and easy to comb through. Sometimes Miss Catherine feels like being a little sassy, so she gives you a bit of a hard time. But it looks like today she's prepared for some smooth sailing. Let's see here. Okay, so you want to make sure your line for your part's in the center. And then what you're going to do is you're going to sit Miss Catherine all the way upright. Make sure that your client is sitting straight up. You're going to see where the apex of their hair is. That means that's the top, the very most tippy top of their head, where the comb tends to balance itself. Okay, from the apex, you're going to slide down behind the ear. Same thing with the other side. From the apex down the parietal ridge behind the ear. Okay. All right, now we are sectioned into equal sections. Go ahead and show you. All right, now we're gonna go ahead and set our guideline next. In order to set our guideline, we're gonna take an inch from each section we have already sectioned, and those, once we set the length that we are looking for, today we're gonna cut approximately just over an inch of hair, and we're gonna make sure that we have a nice horizontal line. So that, again, we're just an inch from each section. You want to make sure that your sections are even on both sides. You want to get all the excess hair out of the way. Okay, good. Now, depending on your tools, you might be able to section with your clip or your comb, whatever's most comfortable with you, but in state board, you absolutely have to use your comb to make your sections. All right, so we have about an inch of hair all the way around. And now we're gonna go ahead and cut our guideline. Before we cut our guideline in, I wanna go ahead and review what a proper technique looks like. You wanna maintain your wrist in a straight ergonomic position as much as possible. You don't wanna have your hand bending in awkward positions when you cut. When you hold your shear, you have your pinky finger resting. You have your ring finger through the eye of the shear there, and then we have our two fingers resting. Now when you cut, you're going to only move your thumb, meaning you're gonna only open and close your thumb so as to keep the blade on the bottom steady. What this does is it makes it so you're able to create a smooth, clean, straight line. So again, the proper technique is just opening and closing your thumb. Okay, we're ready to begin our guideline. We're going to take about 1 inch off. The front portion seems to be a lot more sparse than the back, so I'm going to take the inch off of the front piece and then match the back to it. So when you're dealing with a haircut on longer hair, you may ask your client to stand up and hold the chair so as they are in the most straight position possible so you can get the best line. If they don't want to get up, that's fine as well. However, you may have to squat or do a different stance in order to get the line. So that's what I'll be doing today. So we're going with a 0 tension, and we're taking about 1 inch off. I'm going to use the wide tooth side of my comb so as to put the least amount of tension. And now I'm going to match. And again, you're using your comb as a ruler, not pulling on the hair. All right, now we're going to cut the back. We're matching it to the front piece. I took the drape off so as to show the line that's being created in the back. All right, so let's check for length. This side is ever so slightly. Let's see there. Okay, good. Good. Okay. Perfect. So our guidelines have been cut and I've checked for symmetry, and both sides are equal in length, both in the front and in the back. And the front and the back line up with a straight across comb. Okay? Now that we have our guidelines set, I'm going to go ahead and drop about 1 inch per section, still using my horizontal line. I'm combing it to find my guideline. I can see my guideline very clearly. It's a little harder to see it on the screen, but it's there. cutting there we go. Now I'm dropping about an inch section on the other side. Again, not using tension, combing through both with both sides of my comb. And I'm using my comb to locate my guideline, and I can see it clearly. Zero tension haircuts tend to be ideal with very curly hair. Curly hair, folks want to make sure that their hair is not cut too short, because curly hair gets weighed down with water. But we are working with straight hair, so we are able to quite clearly see our lines. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and work through the rest of the nape. We're moving from the nape area, which is where the occipital bone is located, and we're moving up towards the crown of the head, dropping 1 inch sections. Again, if you have trouble locating your guide, you are you're able to go back and go with a smaller subsection so it becomes more visible. Okay, we are transitioning from the nape area up into the crown, and we made sure that we checked equal length at all 4 corners. Still dropping about an inch at a time from each section in the back. Okay. Finding your guide. We're almost finished with the back. Just 2 more sections. All right. She has a bit of a wave in her hair, so it's a little hard to see the straight line from camera. But my comb is being used as a ruler, so I am able to see what I am doing. As you can see, I have removed the drape from Miss Catherine just so I could get a clean look here on the doll head, so I'm able to show my classroom. All right. So we have cut the back. Now we are moving over to the front, and we are sectioning our inch subsections horizontal, of course. There we go. So when I'm doing one of these blunt cuts, I always ask my client if they tuck their hair behind their ear. If they do, I align their hair with their hairline, and that way it doesn't look like the hair tucked between the ears a completely different length than the back. Well, Miss Catherine's getting a little sassy with her hair. Not to worry. Use my handy dandy water bottle here. And we're back. So we're gonna go ahead and find our guideline. Last section on the right side here. And you can quite clearly see your guideline. making sure our lines are straight. Horizontally. It is quite the workout being a hairdresser. You want to make sure you try to practice good posture. There we go. Last section. Okay, so you have one little spot. There it is. All right, so we have all the length matching all the way around. Now I'm going to go ahead and blow dry her, Miss Catherine, and we'll see the final result. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and put a little bit of product in Miss Catherine's hair. I'm going to go ahead and keep the drape off for now. Of course, you wouldn't take the drape off of your client. This is just so you can see clearly between the dark hair that Miss Catherine has and the drape. So I have it here so you can see very clearly what we got going on. I'm going to go ahead and start blow drying her. I'm going to section her hair. And at places like Dry Bar, they train you to really only use 1-2 clips tops. This is not the case for State Board or in beauty school. We train you with 4 clips, but you know, it is very useful to know different methodologies and the way folks go ahead and have their specific techniques that go with different brands. Let me go ahead and we're gonna get started here. So it's gonna get a little loud. Notice how I'm going in the direction in which the cuticle lays. I'm pointing my concentrator downwards and I'm pulling tension on the hair as I dry. You also want to make sure, although you're getting very close to the root, you want to make sure you point away from the client's scalp. You don't want to put direct heat on the client's scalp. That's quite painful because our tools are very, very powerful. All right, Miss Catherine. If there's a lot of moisture in the hair, you want to make sure that it's about 80 to 85% dry before you start going in with your round brush, or else it'll take a very long time. So depending on the texture of your hair that you're trying to, and how smooth you're trying to get it, if you want it really smooth and you have very coarse curly hair, you would have it with more moisture. Okay, now we're gonna go ahead and dry the back. Okay, so now we've dried the two front sides. We're gonna go ahead and start with the back. We're gonna leave the top for the end. I like the final reveal. Okay, now we're gonna go ahead and we're gonna dry the back of the head. I'm dropping about until the occipital bone, also known as the nape. So it's about the thickness of my round brush. Dropping another section about close to 2 inches. We're almost done with the back. Miss Catherine's pretty quick to dry. And as you can see, as I drop more down, you can see the line very clearly forming. All right, Miss Catherine, look at you, look at you. All right, we're gonna go ahead and move to the front. Again, using sections about the thickness of your roller. If you're using a smaller one, it would be smaller sections, larger sections. Now, depending on how much volume you want, you can over direct the hair. If not, you can just keep it at a regular 90 degrees or at a 45-degree angle. Alrighty, so we're gonna do the top. Alright, a little bit more, teensy bit more product in her hair. There we go. Alright, last sections. right, so here we are, and Miss Catherine is just about finished. And there we are. There it is, blunt cut. Thank you so much for being with me in my classroom. Have a great evening. Bye-bye.